Hey guys, what's up? It's Casey. I'm back with another video, and today what I want to do is show you guys how I make my wigs. And I had a client that wanted me to make a wig for her, so she sent me 3 bundles of 120 inch, 122 and 124 inches, and also a 4x4 closure. I've been using wigs as a natural hair protector for the longest to help grow out my real hair, and it's a great protective style. So yeah, today I'm going to show you guys how I get started with that process. So this is the 4x4 closure. I'm going to simply braid a light braid into the U-shaped pattern that the closure came in, and just pin the hair out of the way to get started with this process. So as you can see, it's nothing but a simple braid, nothing pretty, nothing extra, just braiding the hair out of the way. What I'm going to do, before I get started, I want to show you guys my St. Thomas Virgin Islands stylist cape that my grandmother bought me. Just had to throw that in there for you guys. And also, you guys, I don't know where she got these bundles from, but I am launching a virgin hair line in my company, so make sure you guys click on my link below or reach out to me if you do want some bundles similar to this. So to get started, I usually would use a spandex dome cap. This time I have the mesh spandex dome cap. I feel like I like the mesh a little bit more than the regular one because it's more breathable, and also I feel like it gives your scalp a little bit more air to it. So like I said, when I put the dome cap onto my mannequin head, I put the V in the back, and I usually have the 2 guidelines in the front. And my client, she wanted a middle part, so what I'm doing here is just kind of measuring the closure on top of the wig cap and kind of placing it into place and just clamping it out of the way. And then to get started, as you can see, the closure is just placed in the middle, and she's gonna have a middle part, and we're gonna sew all the bundles in the back. So now I'm going to take my nylon thread, which is the best thread to use for sewing your hair extensions in. I'm going to make a few knots in there, and then I'm going to cut that excess thread off, and I'm just showing you guys here that process. I'm going to start off in the middle of the closure and go through the fabrication of the dome cap and the closure. For my first stitch, I always go to the bottom of the thread and open it, and then loop through that curved needle through there to create that first stitch. So I'm going to stitch all of that down on the left side, and what I do to the left side, I'm going to do to the right side. So what I do is little small tiny base stitches just to kind of keep the closure onto the dome cap pretty secure. And at the end of the wig making process, I just make it a little bit more tighter. But in the beginning, I'm just going to do these really simple base stitches, nothing crazy. You don't have to loop it, but you can pretty much sew it however you want to sew it. But yeah, this is just how I do it. And also note that I'm not going through the spandex dome cap, I'm going through the fabrication of it and through the lace. And then once I get to the bottom of the spandex dome cap, I actually do go through the spandex dome cap just to create that knot and secure that closure down onto the cap, because at the end we're going to cut off all that excess under it, which I'm going to actually show you guys. And then I'm also just going to finish up closing the closure on the other side, like I said, just to make sure everything is more tight and secured. So I'm going to take this off the mannequin just to show you guys how it looks. And then that little excess, as you can see, it's like sewn into like a U shape, but that little excess there, that's what we're going to cut off at the end. So I'm just going to unloosen these bundles, and we're going to start with the sewing process. I'm going to go through the fabrication, like I said, go through the loop of this needle and thread and tighten that first stitch there. I'm going to take the bundles, and this is going to be the first time that I go through the bundle and the only time that I go through the bundle. So I'm going to take the needle and go right through the weft of that bundle, and then pull it and do it again to make sure I get a secure stitch at the end. And then all the other ones, I'm just going to go under the bundle and through the fabrication, create my little loops there tie my knots. Sometimes I do 2 or 3, maybe 4, 5, or 6 loops depending on how tight I want it to be. And I maybe skip maybe like a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch depending on how big you want these stitches to be. And yeah, so I just stitch it pretty much all the way across. I'm going to take a clip and place the hair all the way there so it can be in place. I'm just going to stitch all of these 1/2 inch stitches all the way across, and then I'm going to do the fold over method as mentioned before. And yeah, I'll show you guys that when I get there. So you guys, I'm actually recording this on different days, so my voice sounds a little bit different earlier in the beginning of the video and at the end because I was sick. But yeah, I'm just laughing at myself because my cousin laughs at me the way I stitch my bundles. She was like, "What is that little Taiwan shi that you do with your hands?" And I'm like, "What? Girl, I can't." So as we're finishing up this bundle, I'm showing you here that I'm just laying the bundles pretty flat, securing it and doing that fold over method and clipping it out the way, and then just stitching the bundles going the opposite way. And the same here. I think I'm on like the 3rd row or something, but I do about 2 or 3 rows, and then afterwards I usually stitch it all the way up to attach to the closure, as you can see there. So 1, 2 rows in the back. I think this is the 3rd row, and then I'm gonna stitch that bundle all the way up towards the closure just to bring the wig together. And as I mentioned before, again, everything is going through the fabrication and under the weft. Once I did get towards the closure, I did go through the weft. Well, I don't think I went through the weft. I think I went under the weft again and then through the closure just to make sure it's like laying flat on top of there. And then I also did the fold over method again. Sometimes you gotta be a little careful depending on how you put the closure on there. But yeah, so I just did the fold over method and did the same thing on the other side to connect all of the bundles together to the closure. And then afterwards, we're just gonna go left and right with the bundles just to fill in the gaps all the way up until we get to the closure. And that's how we're going to be finishing off this wig. So at the end, usually with my thread, I would take those 2 strands and tie it into a few knots just to make sure it's a little secured there. And then I'm just going to trim that excess off. So we finished about, I think that was the first 2 bundles. So now I'm going to start doubling these bundles. So at first I was single tracking. Now I'm going to double track to make it more fuller because my client did have 3 bundles. So I'm going to double track that bundle, and then once we get to the top, I'm going to go back to single tracking those bundles. I'm going to do my 1/2 inch stitches all the way across until we get to the top of the wig. What I'm showing you here, what you can't really see, is I have like a little bit of thread left, so usually I would just wrap it around the needle a couple of times, like 5 or 6 times, and then pull it down and knot it, and then cut that excess thread off. And then that's when I do my little string, you know, and I tie it and, you know, cut it off from there. But I'm just showing you guys the wig here. I'm just literally sewing the bundles into like a U-shaped pattern until I get to the top. And then once I get to the top, I'm still doing my little 1/2 inch my 1/2 inch stitches all the way across. And I'm not going to sew the bundles onto the closure, but I am going to sew the closure down to make sure it's nice and tight. But yeah, so you just want to make sure all the bundles are really flat. And I did start single tracking again. I'm not double tracking. And yeah, so that's basically how this wig is turning out, and we get into the top. And also, like I said, I'm still doing the fold over method. So literally when I get to the end of this one, I'm going to flip that bundle over and close this wig up, and we're going to be done with this wig. Okay, so once we sew all the bundles onto the wig, I'm going to go back off camera and stitch that closure down a little bit tighter. And then once I'm done, I'm going to unbraid the closure, and then I'm going to brush it into place. My client actually wanted a middle part, but also a way where she can like part it from left to right. So that's what I'm going to show you guys here. I'm just parting through the 4x4 closure where you can see she can do a middle, kind of like a side middle part or whatever. It's not like a deep side part or anything, but she can pretty much do like a freeway part here. So I'm going to part it in the middle, brush it out a little bit, make sure everything is intact. This is the U shape here that we're going to cut out, like I said before. So I'm going to take some scissors and be sure to cut that excess fabric off the dome cap. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys right here. Now you want to be careful not to cut too far into where the stitches are, because you don't want the wig to come loose and everything. So I'm just cutting off that excess fabric there. And as you can see, the 4x4 closure is a transparent lace. So what I'm going to do is take my MAC foundation, and since my client is the same complexion as me, I just took my foundation and dabbed it onto my foundation brush and just kind of brushed it over the lace, so that way the closure can blend into her skin when she put it on. So right here I'm just showing you guys how it would look against her skin tones and against my skin tone. So I'm just parting it here so you can see how it look with that foundation adding on to it. You guys, so that's pretty much it on how I make my wigs. This is how I make my wigs like 100% of the time. I most likely use a 4x4 closure. I did do a little bit of customization to her closure there, but I'm just parting it here to show you guys that you can part it to the left, to the right, in the middle, and I'm just going to flat iron it off camera. But I'm just going to style this wig, and that's pretty much what I do as far as making my closures. I do braid my hair under the wig and put a little wig stocking cap on, and then just pop this baby right on. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to my videos and to my channel actually, and make sure you follow me on Instagram at Miss Kaysie, MSKAYSIE. And thank you so much for always liking and commenting on my videos and sharing them with your friends. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.